certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as each other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered roping my sister in it to have office purse charges. Now, this is when Caitlin Clark chimed in. Caitlin Clark said, "Careful, you're going to get fined." Then Sydney Colson said,
"The WNBA just crossed a line they can never uncross, and Caitlin Clark isn't staying quiet about it anymore. What happened 2 minutes ago has sent shockwaves through the basketball world, exposing a corruption scandal so deep that even injured players are willing to risk their careers to speak out. We're about to pull back the curtain on the WNBA's biggest secret, and trust me, what you're about to hear will change how you view women's professional basketball forever. The league that's supposed to celebrate female..."
Who you betting on? And mind you, there was some problems going on with the shot clock throughout the game. But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? It's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor.
Male empowerment has turned into something much darker. They're silencing their own stars with financial threats, allowing referees to operate like they've got money on the games, and creating a two-tiered justice system that would make a mob boss blush. And now, thanks to Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson, the whole world is about to see exactly what's been happening behind those carefully constructed press conferences and polished social media posts. It all started with what should have been a routine victory. August 29th, Indiana Fever versus Los Angeles Sparks. Final score 76-75. The Fever had one.
I have to check for betting slips for this guy right here. I think his name is like Agun Agazi, because it sure seemed like he did not want to let the Fever take away this win, making the last 1.9 seconds last almost 5 minutes. He was just like letting them call a reset timeout, and then he was like, no, it's a foul. But I think the worst part about that 1.9 seconds was when 0.4 seconds was left on the clock and Kelsey Mitchell was at the free throw line. She was trying to miss on purpose because that takes time off of the clock, because if she would have made it in, they would have been able to inbound and possibly do a tip in. But this guy allowed a reset timeout. When do you allow a reset timeout with...
And their fans were celebrating, and everything seemed normal on the surface. But Sydney Colson was watching from her living room, nursing a torn ACL that had kept her sidelined all season, and what she witnessed made her blood boil in ways that had nothing to do with competitive disappointment. Those final 1.9 seconds of game time stretched into an agonizing 5-minute circus that exposed everything wrong with WNBA officiating. Picture this. Kelsey Mitchell standing at the free throw line with 0.4 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, there's Leah. You gave them every chance to win. If you look at this in slow motion, you can see Caitlin Clark clearly smiling in confusion, smiling in, did that really just happen? Smiling in, you sly W. And she says, she points at the other team, you gave them every chance to win. Oh, goodness gracious. Caitlin Clark, she's chomping at the bits to start talking to these referees during the game, during free throws, after.
Trying to intentionally miss to run out the time because making the shot would give the Sparks a chance to inbound and potentially score. It's basic basketball strategy, something every player learns in middle school. But somehow, someway, the referees allowed Los Angeles to call a reset timeout with less than half a second remaining. When does that ever happen? When have you ever seen officials grant a timeout in that situation? Colson couldn't stomach what she was seeing. This wasn't just bad officiating. This felt like something much more sinister. She watched as Kelsey Mitchell got grabbed and yanked by defenders throughout the game with zero consequences. She saw clear fouls ignored.
What was going on? We all knew what was happening. We all knew what was happening there. And the game was being given The game was absolutely being given to the Sparks. They were giving the Sparks every single chance possible to go and win that game. Even though realistically, did they deserve to win that game? Hell no. Hell no. They did not. And I mean that. They
while Phantom calls went against Indiana at crucial moments. And she realized that staying silent wasn't an option anymore, even if speaking up could cost her everything. So she did what any fed-up teammate would do in the social media age. She fired off a tweet that cut straight to the heart of the problem. At a certain point in the league's existence, I'm going to need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered roping my sister in to have her office pursue charges. That last line wasn't hyperbole or dramatic flair. Colson was dead serious about the systematic targeting happening right in front of everyone's eyes, and she wasn't afraid to put it in writing for the entire basketball world to see. The tweet exploded across social media faster than a Caitlin Clark three-pointer from the logo.
Y'all saw Caitlin Clark, the GOAT. Y'all saw Caitlin Clark crash out on the bald head ref last night. Please tell me y'all saw this. And she had Caitlin Clark spazzed on the referee last night. And I'm not mad about it. I see a lot of the haters talking about, oh, she be doing too much with the man. Mind your business. You are not in a GOAT's place, so stay out of a GOAT's business, okay? It's that simple. The officiating was awful last night. I don't know what was going on in that Los Angeles Sparks Indiana Fever game.
Basketball fans, analysts, and players started sharing their own stories of questionable officiating. The conversation was building momentum, gaining traction, threatening to become something the WNBA couldn't control or spin away. And that's exactly when Caitlin Clark decided to throw her hat into the ring with a response that was short, sweet, and loaded with enough sarcasm to power a small city. Careful, you're going to get fined. 5 words. That's all it took for Clark to perfectly summarize everything wrong with the WNBA's approach to legitimate criticism. It was a masterclass in saying everything.
Kelsey Mitchell's whistle last night was horrific. And Kelsey drove to the basket a lot. She is the type of person that just like goes through a lot of defenders, and she wasn't getting a call. This really was not her game. She was not hitting it from the 3 whatsoever, but everyone is entitled to having a bad game here and there, and I think she was kind of due for one because of the tear that she's been on lately. Even Sid Colson took to Twitter to talk about it, saying, at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered roping my sister in to have her
thing, while technically saying nothing. A not-so-subtle jab at the league's recent obsession with punishing players who dare to question their precious officiating standards. And Clark knew exactly what she was talking about because she'd watched it happen to her teammates over and over again. Sophie Cunningham had become the WNBA's favorite punching bag, a cautionary tale for any player thinking about speaking truth to power. The league had fined her not once, not twice, but 3 separate times for the crime of pointing out obvious referee incompetence. First, they hit her with a $500 fine for a TikTok video where she lip-synced to lyrics, calling refs stupid and useless. Imagine that. A professional athlete gets financially punished.
Going to get fined. Then Sydney Colson said, I can't get no more fine. So Lynn Dunn stated, agree, I will help pay the fine. So that's what Lynn Dunn stated yesterday about the fines. And Caitlin Clark said, love it. Everyone listen to Lynn. So it's definitely a lot of exchange going back.
For making a joke video about poor performance in her workplace. But the WNBA wasn't done making examples. They slapped Cunningham with another $1,500 fine for comments she made on her podcast about referee inconsistency. She had the audacity to suggest that officials should apply rules equally across all players and teams. For stating this radical concept, the league decided she needed to be punished again. Then came the 3rd fine, the one that really showed how petty and vindictive the WNBA could be. Cunningham questioned why rookie Paige Buchers was getting preferential treatment from officials, saying those refs were giving her every whistle and you couldn't even touch her. For pointing out obvious favoritism, the league opened their wallets and extracted more money from a player making around $90,000 a year. Think about that math for a second. Cunningham's total fines exceeded $2,000, which represents a significant chunk of her annual salary.
Like, I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, I think she's a hell of a player and, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. Like, you literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're going to do that, then give it to our guards. I just hate the inconsistency.
When whistles are player focused, that's I think that's a huge problem. But then again, I don't know what sport that doesn't exist. But she's a rookie. She shouldn't get whistles as a rookie.
Facts.
Is that fair to say?
We know she's a good rookie and she's going to get some whistles. But to get the treatment she got last night was
salary. The WNBA was essentially telling players to shut up and accept whatever treatment they decided to dish out or face financial ruin. It's like watching a protection racket disguised as professional sports administration, where speaking truth becomes a luxury that most players simply can't afford. But here's where Colson's situation gets even more interesting. When Clark warned her about potential fines, Colson's response was equally telling. I can't get no more fined. Translation? She'd already been financially punished for speaking truth to power, and she'd reached her breaking point. The league had pushed her past the point where money mattered more than justice, past the point where career consideration...
And that just sums up how bad the refereeing is that we have seen an unbelievable game. We have seen an unbelievable game, a game where you're like, okay, maybe, just maybe, the Fever the Fever put themselves in a great position. They put themselves in a great position to succeed. But now you're looking and you're like, what do people remember from this game? Caitlin Clark
outweighed doing what's right. The statistics don't lie about what's really happening in the WNBA, and they paint a picture so damning that even casual fans can see the systematic targeting. Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest star and the player single-handedly driving unprecedented growth in viewership and attendance, suffered 17% of all flagrant fouls committed in the entire league this season. 17%. Let that sink in for a moment. One player, out of dozens in the league, absorbed nearly 1/5 of all flagrant fouls. That's not coincidence. That's not competitive basketball. That's systematic bias disguised as professional sports.
It was this dude right here. And from what I've seen, the man has been a part of controversial calls all year. He's been a part of it all year, man. Oh my goodness. What was his name? Jack, what you say? Agan Abazi, man. This man is diabolical work to the WNBA. He's betting. Somebody get the shame bell. Ding, ding, shame. Ding, ding.
And it wasn't just Clark getting the raw deal. Kelsey Mitchell, as Colson pointed out so eloquently, gets assaulted on a regular basis with zero consequences for her opponents. During that Sparks game that started this whole controversy, Mitchell made only 2 trips to the free throw line despite driving aggressively to the basket all night long. Compare that to the star treatment other players receive around the league, and the double standard becomes crystal clear. Some players get calls for breathing on them wrong, while Fever players get mugged in broad daylight with refs looking the other way. Coach Stephanie White had been sounding alarm bells for months, calling the officiating egregious and pointing out double standards that were becoming impossible to ignore. But instead of investigating her concerns or implementing reforms, the WNBA hit her with fines too, because apparently telling the truth about poor performance has become a...
Bozzy, how much money you got on that game? You took the Sparks to win, huh, didn't you? You took the Sparks to win, huh, didn't you? It's okay. It's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next time you'll get the benefit of the doubt. The referees are bad, Bo. The referees are absolutely horrendous in this game. There's no other way to call it for what it is. The referees are abysmal. And you can't help but wonder, is there foul play going on here? Is there foul play going on? Yeah, that's just one example, but we can go game by game and just
Punishable offense in women's professional basketball. The league's strategy of financial intimidation becomes even more disgusting when you consider the salary structure they're working within. These aren't NBA players with guaranteed contracts worth millions. Most WNBA players are making between $60,000 and $90,000 per year, which means a $2,000 fine represents a significant financial burden. The league is literally using economic pressure to silence criticism, punishing players for exercising their basic right to call out poor performance in their workplace. But here's the beautiful irony that the WNBA brass probably never saw coming. Their heavy-handed approach is backfiring spectacularly.
Syd Colson is someone that everyone used to call the face of the league because she gets along with everybody. So when she's taking to Twitter to complain about something, it must be bad. Because usually she's just really funny, kind of cracking jokes here and there. And although this was pretty funny, there was a tone of seriousness, like calling out the referees, because the way that the Indiana Fever has been officiated, I think she finally understands from being on the team. And I'm telling you, this team sticks together. Her whistle was so bad last night that Lexi Hull even got a tech for it. And we are talking about Lexi Hull.
Creating a Streisand effect where every fine generates more attention and support for the players they're trying to silence. Fever fans are literally offering to pay Colson's potential fines. Former team executives like Lynn Dunn are publicly supporting the players over the league office. And the controversy is drawing more eyes to the systematic problems than any individual complaint ever could have. The timing of this entire situation couldn't be worse for the WNBA's carefully crafted public image. They're experiencing unprecedented growth in popularity, largely thanks to Caitlin Clark's incredible rookie season bringing new fans to women's basketball. Television ratings are up, attendance is breaking records, and the sport is finally getting the mainstream attention.
Single call imaginable. And it was just noticeable to the point you got Caitlin Clark running on the floor, ready to crash out on a ref in the middle of the game, to the point where it's obvious. It's obvious. It's like the fix was in. The fix was completely in. So the WNBA needs to do something about this. Kathy Engelberg, you need to get a hold of what's going on here. The officiating Kelsey Mitchell
deserves. And instead of protecting their biggest star, the one driving all this growth, they're allowing her to get mauled while punishing anyone who points it out. It's like having the goose that lays golden eggs and deciding to shoot it because it makes too much noise. The corruption allegations swirling around certain referees have reached a point where players are openly questioning integrity and potential gambling connections. Fans are posting about officials who seem to show up in controversial games with suspicious frequency. Social media is filled with compilation videos showing identical plays called completely differently depending on which team commits them. Hard screens that get flagrant foul calls against Indiana somehow become legal basketball plays when other teams run the exact same action. And don't even start on the technical foul disparities that make a mockery of equal treatment. Clark gets screamed at by officials for showing emotion after obvious no calls, while opposing players can commit actual flagrant fouls without consequence. It's like watching two completely different rule books being applied in the same game, with the outcomes influenced more by referee bias than actual basketball skill. The most damning evidence of systematic corruption isn't found in any single game or controversial call. It's in the pattern that's emerged over an entire season, where certain teams and certain players get held to completely different standards depending on whatever narrative the league office prefers to promote. This isn't about the quality of play or following established rules. This is about maintaining control over storylines and outcomes in ways that make professional wrestling look authentic by comparison. Players are now willing to risk thousands of dollars in fines rather than stay silent about what they're witnessing. When professional athletes would rather pay significant chunks of their salary than keep quiet about corruption, you know the system is fundamentally broken. These women have worked their entire lives to reach the pinnacle of their sport, and they're watching it get turned into a rigged carnival show where referee bias determines outcomes more than athletic performance. The WNBA could easily fix these problems if they actually wanted to. They could implement better training for officials, create real accountability measures for poor performance, and stop treating valid criticism as personal attacks on their authority. Instead, they've chosen the path of financial bullying and victim blaming, responding to legitimate concerns with threats instead of reform. It's a strategy that might work in the short term, but it's destroying the league's credibility with the very fans they need to sustain long-term growth. Meanwhile, games continue to be marred by officiating so inconsistent that casual viewers wonder if some refs are watching the same sport as everyone else. Clear fouls go uncalled at crucial moments. Phantom violations get whistled when momentum needs to shift, and star players who should be protected by the league get targeted with complete impunity. The product on the court suffers, the integrity of competition gets questioned, and fans start looking for entertainment elsewhere. So here we are, watching the WNBA's biggest stars risk their financial security to call out the league's most obvious problems, while the front office responds with more threats instead of actual solutions. It's a perfect encapsulation of everything wrong with how this league operates, prioritizing control over competition and punishment over progress. Players like Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson deserve credit for having the courage to say what everyone else is thinking, even when speaking truth comes with a price tag attached. The question now is whether the WNBA will listen to its players and fans or continue down this destructive path of financial intimidation and willful blindness to systematic problems. Based on their track record of doubling down on bad decisions and punishing whistleblowers, don't expect meaningful change anytime soon. But at least now, thanks to brave players willing to risk everything for integrity, the whole world can see exactly what's been happening behind the WNBA's carefully constructed facade of fair competition and equal treatment. The corruption is out in the open now, and no amount of fines or threats can put that genie back in the bottle.